Killian Hayes coming into the NBA in the 2020 NBA draft was hyped up as a do-it-all prospect at the point guard position. He was a 6'5" guy who could score, he could pass, he could play defense, he was pretty athletic, he could do a little bit of everything, and he was a very competent scorer as well. And basically, since he's been drafted 7th overall in that 2020 draft by the Detroit Pistons, he has been pretty much none of those things up until recently, and I want to get into basically his entire career up to this point and how he is kind of starting to turn around his NBA career, and he might be even reviving it a little bit. And this is actually a very fun video for me to make because Killian Hayes was in the first ever draft that I actually deep dove into, kind of analyzed all the prospects, and Killian Hayes was one of my favorite players in that, and up until very recently, that was one of my biggest misses in the entire, since starting, draft analysis in any way. But maybe he's starting to turn around, and he might be starting to show a lot of that promise a lot of people saw in him when he was picked 7th overall. So just a little bit of background on who Killian Hayes is for all of 5 people who know who he is that isn't a Detroit Pistons fan. Killian Hayes is a point guard in the NBA, and he has had a lackluster 2.5 years, but coming into the draft, he was very hyped up. A lot of people liked his upside. He was a very good scorer overseas. He could do a lot of things very well, and he was only 18 at the time. I'm pretty sure he's only 20, 21 years old right now, so he's still very, very young, and he just had such a high ceiling coming in, and his floor looked like it was pretty high for a guy his age, so a lot of people were excited what Killian Hayes could bring to an NBA team, and obviously the Detroit Pistons felt the same way, because this was even before they drafted Cade Cunningham, and they thought Killian Hayes was going to be their pretty much franchise point guard going into the future while they try to rebuild their team. And although Killian Hayes didn't have a great rookie year, he really didn't have an exactly bad one either. It just was a little bit lackluster for someone getting, I think it was around 22 minutes a game. He would average about 6 points a game on okay efficiencies, okay assist numbers, okay rebound numbers. He was just a very average rookie in his first year. But really going into his second year, when you would like to see a kind of jump for someone who had a lackluster rookie year, you really didn't see any of that at all, as he basically had the exact same year as his rookie season. He showed basically no improvements. He had a little bit of improvements in some areas, but he also regressed in a few areas, and he also just did not look confident, as that was a huge problem in his rookie year. You never thought he looked comfortable. He never got fully confident on the offensive end of the ball, and he was really nothing more than just an okay defender when he was on the court, and his confidence was a huge point of concern because all of his sophomore year in the NBA, his confidence wasn't there again, and they were just really starting to get questions involved. Is this dude ever going to be confident enough to be a high-level scorer that he was overseas, and will he be able to translate that to the NBA? And the fact that these questions existed were even just proven even more strongly, as in the draft, they went out and drafted Jaden Ivey, a guy who they probably saw replacing Killian Hayes in the starting lineup, and for a player that was just drafted 3 years ago, that can be very, very discouraging. And through the first 20 games of this season, it looked like a lot of more of the same from Killian Hayes. He was basically putting up identical numbers to his first 2 years. He wasn't really improving in anywhere, his confidence didn't look there, but then it kind of took a completely 360, as Cade Cunningham would go down with an injury, and after Cade Cunningham got injured, it really looked like Killian Hayes, for some reason, his confidence just shot through the roof. And ever since those first 20 games of the NBA season, his stats have skyrocketed to 13 points per game, 1.5 steals per game, 7.2 assists per game, and 3 rebounds per game on 35% shooting from the three-point line and 43% shooting from the field. So although those numbers are not star-level numbers by any means, they were leaps and bounds of improvement compared to anything he's ever had prior to his career, and he's right now definitely going through the best stretch of basketball since he has entered the NBA, and a large part of that is because I think he's a lot more confident knowing, look, Cade's out, Jaden Ivey's a rookie, and he hasn't had the best rookie year, he's had a very up and down one. Killian Hayes is like, I'm the guy that needs to score, and he has really embraced that role to a very, very high extent, and he's been looking like the lottery pick we all wanted him to look like. Now, if he can keep building on this and just keep this consistently up, that will be huge for the Detroit Pistons, because he has now been doing this for about 26 games now. So it's not a fluke at this point. Like, he legitimately can play like this for a long stretch of games. Now, the next step is to see when Cade Cunningham gets healthy, if he can continue this high level of play. Because if he is able to continue this high level of play, that will be absolutely huge for the future of the Detroit Pistons team. Because now you have two very good young guards in Killian Hayes and Jaden Ivey. You have Cade Cunningham, who can run the three. Now, he would be an undersized three, but he could definitely run that position. And then you have Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart. All those players are extremely, extremely young and have extremely high ceilings, maybe outside of Isaiah Stewart, that can definitely grow. And that team has a very, very, like, much more clear path going forward. And I just think Killian Hayes, if he can keep this up, would be absolutely huge for the future of the Detroit Pistons. And as a guy who's probably watched Killian Hayes the closest out of anyone else in the NBA world, because like I said, Killian Hayes was like, dang, I missed on him, but I really wanted him to be good, so I'd always like at least look at the stats from every single game he played. I was like, I just want him to be good, and he would always have like a good game there, but then follow it up with like 5 bad ones. But lately, he's been legitimately consistently playing at a very good level, which is not something we were able to see pretty much his entire NBA career, and it is very nice to be seeing right now. So hopefully he can keep it up, and hopefully Killian Hayes is maybe doing a little bit of a 3-1 comeback, down 27-3 in the Super Bowl comeback type deal. Hopefully he can legitimately look like the lottery pick that we all expected him to be coming into that 2020 NBA draft. But unfortunately, guys, that's me for this video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think Killian Hayes is turning his career around? Do you think it's not going to last? Do you think it will last? Any of your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like me, point, hit the like button and subscribe button. It would mean the absolute world to me. And I hope you have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. See you now. Have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah.